Thank you, Mr. Chairman and honored members of the committee. My name is Deanna Sailor. I'm a citizen. I am also a student and a staff member at Boise State University. I'm also a concealed weapons permit holder in the state of Idaho. Part of that for me is since 2005, have been training in Krav Maga with weapons training on not only how to shoot my weapon, but how to retain my weapon, how to disarm somebody. I did not plan on speaking today, but when I saw there were more people for this legislation versus not, I'm coming to you as a parent. I have a son who is a junior, University of Puget Sound. I have a son who will be a freshman beginning in the fall. And part of the criteria of both of them going to school is no guns on campus. Other than to tell you I'm speaking from the heart, I just don't see it as logical or responsible. Police officers are trained not only when to shoot, but when not to shoot. And as much as I train, I don't want to be that person in the room on campus responsible for other people's lives, because if they're trained and we're going to give them the 30% and I'm trained, I'm not giving myself 30%. I don't think anyone in this room can. Again, I'm speaking as a parent, as an employee of the state, and it doesn't make me feel safer to think there are going to be guns on campus. Not at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony. Your questions? All right. Thank you for coming. We'll have Aaron Treble, and then following Mr. Treble, Marilyn Whitney.
Members of the committee, Chairman McKenzie, thank you for allowing me this opportunity to give my thoughts in regards to this proposed legislation. My name is Aaron Treble. I'm a lawyer in Eagle, Idaho. A few years ago, I sued the University of Idaho over their prohibition of firearms in the university family housing. This lawsuit gave me a great deal of insight into Idaho's constitution and various laws relating to firearm regulation. My lawsuit ultimately was dismissed because I graduated and no longer resided on the campus at the U of I. While I believe this law that's being proposed is a step in the right direction towards compliance with the Idaho Constitution, I'd like to point out a few problems that I see right now. First, the definition of public entertainment facility seems to encompass any entire building. Concerns me a little bit, and foremost, I'm thinking of a place like the Kibbe Dome, where there's other facilities that are kind of contained within the walls of that, and specifically I'm thinking of the office structures that are there. I used to go play racquetball at the Kibbe Dome, not necessarily in the arena where tens of thousands of people can be seated, but I can be in the racquetball courts with a few of my friends. And I'm really not, I'm kind of struggling to see, well, what is the purpose of disarming people if they're going to work in their office or going to play racquetball with their friends in a facility that houses something larger that I can't necessarily gain access to? Seems like there might be some wiggle room there to look at. Now, second and most importantly, the definition of student dormitory greatly concerns me because of my lawsuit that I brought. The citizen in this country certainly has a right to keep a firearm in their home. As the definition of dormitory currently stands, it encompasses the single-family housing that's contained on the campus of the University of Idaho and other ones around the state. If this bill is passed in its current form, the holders of an enhanced Idaho permit would be permitted to carry firearms in most places on campus, but they couldn't carry in their single-family home. Given that the right to possession of a firearm in the home is, according to the U.S. Supreme Court, one of the most basic and fundamental rights that we have, it makes little sense to me to not correct this definition. I should also mention as well that I am concerned as well about the immunity clause that's in there. I think leaving something open for reckless or perhaps gross negligent behavior would be wise. Do I believe that this law will bring our Idaho higher education institutions into compliance with the Idaho Constitution? No, but I believe it's a step in the right direction. I believe that the current status quo of a blanket firearm prohibition is absolutely ridiculous. There's nothing currently preventing any person from carrying a weapon onto a college campus, as was stated just before me. Since my graduation, I personally have carried firearms onto both the U of I campus and onto Boise State campus. If challenged, I will sue again. I will continue to carry because none of these laws or the campus regulations criminalize the carrying of a firearm. Especially when I'm with my 7-year-old son, I refuse to leave myself without a means of appreciable self-defense. And I will also represent anyone free of charge who is denied this right. And in conclusion, may I just state, I know there's many others who also are disregarding this policy as well. I believe that this law is basically going to codify what is already taking place as police have stated. I would encourage others to do as I'm doing, and I ask that this committee would speed this bill towards passage and do the right thing with this. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Questions? Senator Ward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sir, thank you for your testimony. I'm sorry, it went by me quickly, but I thought that you made a comment about the immunity provision in the bill.
Yes.
And I wanted you to just clarify that because I'm still struggling with the language and what is or is not covered, because I am concerned about if with immunity comes a lack of responsibility from my perspective. If you're not responsible for something, then you're not going to take responsibility for something. So how do you interpret that provision in the law?
That's a good question, and I think the way I read it, it does seem to leave some doors open. I can see how you can interpret it one way or the other, and I'm not sure that I would call it airtight. I think that's what's concerning me about it. I think I would prefer to see something in there where it was not giving immunity for a gross negligence or recklessness type of thing. But I can also see the way it's written where it could be interpreted as already doing that. It just didn't seem clear to me, and so I thought I would mention that, as well as the other definitional problems that I pointed out.
And Mr. Chairman, just a follow-up statement. It sounds like lawyers can disagree on this issue.
I sure hope we can.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay. Then we'll have Marilyn Whitney, followed by Jessica Love.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I am Marilyn Whitney, Communications and Legislative Affairs Officer for the State Board of Education. Last week, the Idaho State Board of Education unanimously voted to oppose Senate Bill 1254. This affirms previous actions of the board with respect to regulation of firearms on the public higher education campuses. The board feels strongly that Senate Bill 1254 takes away an important management tool necessary to maintain an environment conducive to learning. This management tool allows each of the campus administrators to rely on the trained law enforcement professionals they've hired to help them develop safety policies that provide the best experience possible for students, faculty, staff, and visitors. The board believes the institution presidents have proven their ability to accomplish this, as our college campuses are indeed among the safest places in our society. I'll share just one statistic with you. Annual Clery Act data, which consists of annual reports and disclosures of all alleged campus incidents of criminal activities reported either to the campuses or to local police agencies across the country, shows the rates of violent campus crime have been only between 11 and 13% of the general population rates in every year from 1997 to 2010. This is true even though a large proportion of college students are at the ages most prone to engage in violence, while a significant portion of the general U.S. population consists of groups, including the elderly and the young, that are the least likely to engage in violence. The reality is that America's and Idaho's colleges and universities are exceptionally safe places. The State Board of Education is committed to keeping them that way. They respectfully urge this committee to reject Senate Bill 1254. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would stand for questions.
Thank you. Questions? Great, thank you. We have Jessica Love, followed by Gary Margolis. Is Ms. Love here? She'd signed up to testify electronically, so I don't see her this morning. So Gary Margolis, please.